This edition of the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Picture This Photo Books, where remembering is the key ingredient. How beautiful your mother looked at her wedding, and even more so at yours. And who doesn't miss Grandma's meatballs? The holidays are coming. What better time to give a gift of remembrance that makes you laugh and cry all at the same time? Whatever gift of Grandma's recipes, or just because, those smiles and tears will melt your heart. Call Karen Shaw at 646-798-0809 or visit picturethisphotobooks.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 10% off your first order. Picture This Photo Books, bringing your memories back to life. They're whimsical, casual, or formal, and always uniquely you.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. It's time to give a shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mian Mosen Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, then you'll love Missing by Mian Mosen Zia. Available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. It takes place in 4 countries with 2 strangers and 1 target where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available in paperback and ebook on Amazon. Missing by Mian Mosen Zia has garnered great reviews and is even loved by Hollywood celebrities including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today. Order Missing by Mian Mosen Zia, now available at Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartradio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the mikewagnershow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-ring author Mian Mosen Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mian Mosen Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mian Mosen Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and enjoyed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mian Mosen Zia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Picture This Photo Books. Remembering is the key ingredient. How beautiful your mother looked at a wedding, and even more so yours. And who doesn't miss Grandma's meatballs, huh? You miss Grandma's meatballs? I mean, I do too. Well, the holidays are coming. What better time to give a gift for remembrance? It makes you laugh and cry at the same time. Whatever gift for Grandma's recipes or just because, those smiles and tears will just melt your heart. Call Karen Shaw, Picture This Photo Books at 646-798-0809 or visit picturethisphotobooks.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Picture This Photo Books, bring your memories back to life. The whimsical, casual, or formal, and always uniquely you. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show on over 30 podcast platforms and the mikewagnershow.com, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartradio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple Music. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And check out the Mike Wagner Show merchandise at the mikewagnershow.com and also on Amazon.com for the Mike Wagner Show podcast, t-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, makes great gifts 24/7, 365 for family, friends, and loved ones. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mian Mosen Zia store for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also cool t-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, lots of great merchandise. Amazon.com. Check out the Mian Mosen Zia store today. Also support us on Anchor FM as well as PayPal at PayPal.com, The Mike Wagner Show, or Mike Wagner Voiceover, and donate generously to the mikewagnershow.com. Make sure you do so today. We're here with a terrific gentleman who's part of Low Level Clouds, and they're based out of Hawaii with a breezy 60-70 sound with an indie rock bite, a very unique twist to it. And we have a gentleman who talk about that. And of course, their music has been featured on Spotify and also on Pandora and iTunes and a lot of the streaming platforms. And, they've been doing this for quite some time. And of course, we'll be talking about their self-titled release, including one of their hits, Heartshapedcliffs, Nostone, and It's Not the Chemicals, Wild Things, and a lot more. And these guys are due to break out. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studio somewhere in beautiful Hawaii, let's give a big aloha to Low Level Clouds, Christopher Coats. Chris, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and aloha.
Aloha. How you doing, Mike?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've been looking forward to it, and I was going to eat a pineapple before I was going to go on. So, anyway, so you guys are based out of Hawaii. You yourself with a breezy 60-70 sound with an independent rock bite. You also have your self-titled release, and it's on all the major streaming platforms. You've got Heartshapedcliffs, you got Nostone, It's Not the Chemicals, Wild Things, and a lot more. And you guys have a very unique sound and pretty much taking this by storm as well. A lot of influences. And before getting to all that, Chris, tell us how you first got started.
Oh, man. Well, I guess I'd have to start with remembering my sister getting out of the car and banging her acoustic guitar on her way to her guitar lesson. And I don't know why that's my first memory. I don't really come from a particularly musical family, although my mom might disagree because she used to hum Hello Dolly every morning when she woke me up. So she says. And
Hello Dolly. Don't wake me up, slap.
And I guess that got me out of bed. But no, my dad was in the military. He was in the Navy. God bless him. He just passed away last year. But the beauty of that kind of lifestyle is you get to move around. You move around every 3 years. And so, like I was telling you earlier, I grew up in Rhode Island, amongst other places. Dabbled in field hockey, but I'm reticent to say that went anywhere at all. Although I do still like watching a hockey game, which there aren't many aired out here. But that eventually brought us to California. And my dad being gone so long, I think what happened is my older sisters had these boyfriends. They all look like Jesus, right? They all had long hair, beards, and they listened to really good music, and that kind of really rubbed off on me. And so eventually, after high school in California, my dad was stationed in Hawaii, and I came from Southern California, so I was already surfing. So for me, Hawaii is the Mecca, right?
Oh,
yeah. And so I got out here, I was working in a restaurant, having a great time. And then one day my dad said, hey, you got to start paying rent or you're going to college. And so I said, okay, I'll go to college. But I majored in music, much to his dismay. And I really got into it. This was like kind of during the 90s and grunge was in. And I guess I started on electric guitar from a friend in high school, gave me an old disco guitar. And, I had a lot of fun, messed around with that. But long story short, I had to go to college and there was no college out here for rock and roll. So I studied classical. There were a couple of jazzer guys. So I kind of got into that for a while. But to be honest, what really, I think the moment that brought me back home to rock, because that's what I grew up on, is my now wife and I separated for about a year and a half. And it just turned into a kind of a dark time. And I felt like singing and songwriting was the best way to get through that. So I have a good buddy named Dylan McGarrick, who's really well-versed in the music scene. And he was real supportive about saying, hey, man, you should record those songs. And one thing led to another. Another good buddy of ours is a guy named Mike Ailes. He was a really good songwriter and still puts them out there. And so that kind of ended up in the studio somehow. And then some of the other people that I met that helped support that really came through. So in a weird way, I've been playing music. I majored in music, but it was classical. In Hawaii, a classical performer they make their living touring. And if you live in Hawaii, it's really tough, right? Because you're only flying unless you own a boat or have a friend that has a boat, which is better. But so I kind of really went into teaching, songwriting and recording. And so a lot of these songs kind of came about as just ideas when I was playing. I played in a lot of cover bands. The good thing about Hawaii is you can play a lot of music. There's a lot of clubs, a lot of bars. There's classic rock. There's all kinds of music out here. So that was fun to keep my foot in the water, so to speak. And, it's weird looking back how it all came together. I wish I put this out 20 years ago, but it just, I think COVID sort of gave me the time to do that. And here it is. And I don't know if I covered all the bases. I certainly want to mention more people. It kind of helped, but that's the short story. It could get much longer if I don't stop.
That's really interesting. And who are some of your favorite artists and singers and musicians growing up?
That's really changed. When I was in high school, it was all about Neil Young. So the Zuma album, the Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere album, of course, Rolling Stones. Beatles were sort of beyond my ability to try to have fun with on a guitar for a long time, but I've grown to really appreciate them, and they're probably my number one band as far as just remembering tunes on the radio as a kid. Led Zeppelin, but then in high school I was more like into the Police, and punk rock was big in Southern California at the time. And nowadays I love people like Sparkle Horse, Wilco, different bands like that. But they all kind of have that same thing where it's not really dance music. It's kind of more cerebral. I like stuff that sounds better with headphones and a buzz.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about as well, too. And we'll also talk about your self-titled release and some of your material in just a minute. But first, listen to Mike Wagner's show at mikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give a special shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Picture This Full Books. Remembering is the key ingredient. How beautiful your mother looked at a wedding, and even more so at yours. And who doesn't miss Grandma's meatballs, huh? Well, the holidays are coming. What better time to get for remembrance? It makes you laugh and cry at the same time. And whatever you get for Grandma's recipes, or just because, those smiles and tears will just melt your heart. Call Karen Shaw, Picture This Full Books, at 646-798-0809, or visit picturethisphotoBooks.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Picture This Photo Books. Bring your memories back to life. The whimsical, casual, or formal, and always uniquely you. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at mikewagnershow.com and over 30 podcast platforms. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. Check our merchandise at the mikewagnershow.com and amazon.com at the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, including great books and merchandise and more, go to amazon.com and check out the Me and Molson-Zia store today. Also support us on anchorfm/support and PayPal, and also the mikewagnershow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with singer-songwriter and part of Low Level Clouds, Christopher Coats, here on the Mike Wagner Show. And before we talk about your self-titled release and one of your hit songs, Heartshapedcliffs, also featuring Nostone, It's Not the Chemicals, and more. And tell us how you came together and how you came up with the name Low Level Clouds.
I had been looking for a name for a project for a long time. I always kind of had an ear out for it. And, I had a list that had these names like Rocket Dog and, just stuff like that. And one day, I don't know, I can't tell you where I saw it, but it just seemed to fit. And I looked it up and the URL was available. Facebook was available. All these things were available. So I said, okay, that's it. You just got to pull the trigger at some point. But after I picked it, I just kind of thought it started to fit a little bit more. So can't really tell you more than that as the genesis, but I feel like it stuck. And it might have been confirmed by the fact that it was just available on all those sites.
Huh, that's really interesting. I thought that had to do with the weather or something, or like, weatherman, weather girl, or whatever it is, low-level clouds.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because it wasn't until a buddy I was recording with kind of pointed out, you mentioned the weather a lot, and I don't know why, but there was kind of a time where some of these songs were going to kind of be, so I do video on the side, and I kind of had this idea about a script, and the star of this, maybe I'll make it someday, I don't know, but the star was a weather girl. And it kind of represented a lot of shifting things. There's a lot going out here in Hawaii. You don't know things until you live somewhere. But I think when you live in the mainland and you think Hawaii, you see Diamond Head, you see the blue water and all the hula girls and all that. But once you live here, you kind of realize there's a lot of history here. And there's a lot of people that have kind of taken a little more than they should have through the years. And so you kind of want to point that out in the spirit of rock and roll being a revolutionary genre. You kind of want to push back. And so that's what some of these songs are. It's very cryptic, my lyrics, but when you kind of know what they're about, it kind of makes more sense suddenly. And I think that's a good way to go because I don't want to get whacked by the mafia. And it leaves a little more for the listener to sort of, imagine what the song is about.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of imagining as well, too, you've got Heartshaped Cliffs. That's one of your better singles. You got Nostone, It's Not the Chemicals, Wild Things, Replaced by a DJ. Not me, by the way. Perfect. Yeah. Speaking of sudden changes and of subject and also Weather Bell as well, too. And tell us about some of those songs and what inspired you to write them.
Okay, well, Heartshaped Cliffs is kind of the chill track. That's a very mellow song. The rest is a little more, it's got a little more grind in the guitar tone. But my wife and I live in a house in Kaimoki, which is on the slopes of Diamond Head, and it's a 1947. We have a lot of, not so much now, but we had a lot of damage, a lot of termite damage and weather damage, dry rot, and it was just a real process to get the house in shape. And at some point, I'm a teacher and I had a full sabbatical, so I had about a year off to really work on the house. And somehow I blew out my back. Oh. And I was lying on my back trying to heal, and I just kind of came up with this progression, and I had I think I had the verses, but I didn't have the words for the chorus. I think I had the melody. But a buddy of mine that I mentioned earlier, Dylan, called me and said, "Hey, man, yeah, I'm going out to the coast." He lives in Portland. And I said, "Oh," and I was at my computer and I looked it up where he was going, and I saw this little place that said Heartshaped Cliff. Huh. And it just fit the song. But what's funny about that is the way that song came about. When you're renovating, there's so many decisions to make, and it just kind of drives you nuts. And of course, we're both busy, and so coming together and making that happen was an effort. But we went to Home Depot or Lowe's, and I think we were ordering cabinets. And I don't know what I said, but one of the girl that was selling the cabinets, she said, the top 3 reasons for divorce are cheating, drinking and drugs, and renovations.
Renovations? What?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh my gosh. Boy. No wonder there's so much news on all these home improvement shows. And I'm glad Tim Allen never got divorced. Or like Bob Vila.
Right. So I don't know.
Oh my
that
God.
that just kind of it just threw me out of my vibe I was in. And anyway, my wife is just the best. I dedicated that album to her. She's the sweetest thing. She's a local hula girl, and I just I love her to pieces. And so that and as sweet and great and attractive and as beautiful a person she is inside and out, there's still the ups and downs in a long-term relationship.
Mhm.
So this is the same girl I was talking about earlier in this show when I was telling you that I didn't feel like jazz and classical were expressing enough of that pain I was going through during a separation. And it all kind of came together when we got back together, and I just said, you know what, I love classical music, I love jazz, but I just want to I want to learn how to sing, because I hadn't been a singer until more recently. And there was just nothing more expressive that felt more cathartic than these kinds of songs that are on this record.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how that one went. So Heartshaped Cliffs, the video was shot in California. If you have a chance to see that, that's on YouTube at Low Level Clouds. And Heartshaped Cliffs is actually my nephew and his fiance. And the first shot is really long, but once you get into it, you kind of see their faces and they're just so in love. And so that video kind of helped capture the whole essence of that song. But again, that's the chill track. The rest of it is a little more kind of rocking than that one.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we'll be playing Heartshaped Cliffs at the end of the audio portion of the Mike Wagner shows. For those watching on video, go to the audio portion of the Mike Wagner show and listen to Heartshaped Cliffs. And you also have Nostone, It's Not the Chemicals, Wild Things, Replaced by DJ, and more. And you can also tell us about a few of those songs and what inspired you to write them. You can pick and choose what you like.
Okay, sure. So Nostone, I have a friend that I used to teach with out here. He taught Spanish, and I taught, I guess at that time I was teaching more media types of classes. But this was a local high school, and he's a real interesting guy. His name's Chris Kramer. He started an organization to preserve freshwater springs. So if you know how islands sort of work water-wise, if you're looking at the ocean this way, there's, the island kind of comes up like a cinder cone kind of thing, and what's above the surface is the island. And then as the rain comes down, it filters through this very porous, I guess it's lava. There's lava tubes. There's huge hollow areas inside the islands. And some of these fill up with water, with like an aquifer. And then at a certain point, kind of more towards sea level, they kind of come up as freshwater springs. Mm. And so a lot of these have been kind of built on. There was actually one house that was built over a spring and had a glass, like a glass window in the floor of the living room where you could look down and kind of see little freshwater fish coming by.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. My son would love that. He loves that type of fish and water. He loves it.
Yeah, it's really neat. And so his company or his organization, it's a nonprofit, they raised money to preserve these fish ponds, and a lot of that preserving included locating these and kind of, writing letters to the government to make them formalized. And that particular house I just told you about ended up being taken over by the state for that reason. But he ended up buying some land in a place called Aina, which is really Wailupe. And there were some developers that kind of went in and, I know we all need housing and all that, but there was just some dubious stuff going on. And there was a particular developer that kind of ignored some warnings about breaking into the freshwater lens. So if this is the ocean, the lens is shaped like this, and the freshwater is here within the island part. And if you puncture it with a drill, it becomes brackish water and you lose all that fresh water.
Really?
So Yeah, so there was a developer that he didn't heed the warnings, and sure enough, he broke into the lens. And then he went into Chris's backyard, and that got shut down because he ended up trying to build something on there's some local state laws that say that if there's ancient Hawaiian ruins or if there's ancient paths, they shouldn't be built on. They shouldn't be bulldozed. So this guy ended up hiring a California company with all Korean speaking operators. And he showed up and he started bulldozing these heiaus, which are like rock structures that go back hundreds of years. And so one of Chris's friends got there first and actually stood before the bulldozer. So this kind of reminded me of the Tiananmen Square picture of that guy standing in front of the tank.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so they ended up bulldozing it. In each of these, in certain heiaus, there's a long, tall stone that sort of acts as an altar. And that was saved by a friend, a lady that was actually a secretary at the school he and I worked at. Her husband, Kia Aina, who has family roots that go back in Wailupe, Aina for, generations, they were able to take that, and he stored that at his house, but the actual walls of the heiau were bulldozed. And so this first song, No Stone, it kind of speaks to that. It's kind of that moment where you show up and you see something that's so wrong that you just have to act. And it may mean that you throw your life and limb into danger, but that's when you change your behavior and you start to fight back because you know what's pono, what's right, what's righteous. So that song kind of speaks to that, even though it was cryptic before I laid all that out, but I won't mention names.
Right. That's understandable. And when I think about No Stone and having all these landmarks and everything, it sounds like Hawaii is actually very tough to develop.
It is. Everything out here is about the land. Like realtors will tell you in a place like Georgia where land is more plentiful, the structure is really part of the value. But here you could buy a 1933 cottage that's, only standing up because the termites are holding hands. And it's the land that is the value because it's also limited.
Wow.
So when we have someone like that is looking to build in places they really shouldn't be building, then one can only think that it's because of, just dubious, what should I say? Just greed? I don't know. I don't get it. I can't understand.
I think I know what you're talking about, trying to capitalize on an opportunity irregardless of the consequences. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. That would be like, someone in Florida building in the Everglades because they were able to take advantage of some kind of legislative deadline where they put the language in the bill right at the 11th hour and were able to get it passed. That kind of stuff. That's what that song talks about.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, you also have some other ones as well, too. You can pick one song and tell about that. You got choices of It's Not the Chemicals, Wild Things, Replaced by a DJ, Perfect, Speaking of Sudden Change of Subject, and Weather Bell, Real Cause. And it's an amazing album. You just pick one more and just tell us about it.
Sure. Let's see. So No Stone, Heart-Shaped Cliffs, maybe Replaced by a DJ is a little more lighthearted, so I'll choose that one just to loosen it up a bit. That one is kind of like what guys like you and me know how music has changed a little more than younger guys like us. Mm-hmm. We grew up on some really good music. In fact, I think, if you talk about Baroque music and you study it formally, it's called the era of common practice. And what that means is, I guess it means that historians have had enough time to look back on something and kind of define it better, because in the time it's like, hey, does that work? Yeah, I think it works. No, I don't think it works. Well, what worked is best, in hindsight, I guess, as far as as far as what historians might write about anyway. So I think we were lucky enough to grow up in the era of common practice of rock and roll. It's changed a lot since the 60s and 70s. I'm biased, so I don't think it really got better. But at the same time, we do need new music, right? We can't just keep listening to the same songs. But that kind of speaks to that, where it's that that change, And I like rap. Unfortunately, I wasn't exposed to it as a younger person when those real impressionable early years, like. I remember songs in 7th, 8th grade that just, man, that stuff, there's just a certain thing about human development, I think, where, those songs just bring back so much. I'm sure you have a few, you know what I'm talking about.
I can probably spin back to the 70s as well, too, like Grandmaster Flash. And I think there was also Run DMC, and I think like in the late 80s and early 90s. And I think there was... let's see, Grandmaster Flash, and I think Curtis Blow was in there. And now I'm trying to think of some of the other rappers, Sugar Hill Gang. It's like, you're going way back in that one. I hope I didn't push it too back.
Yeah, but for some reason, just the radio I listened to, the radio stations, it just wasn't in my ears enough. And it took a long time before it kind of became more... before I understood it and kind of didn't feel like I think when I was younger, I felt like, hey, that's going to push out my favorite music. And then it might have been Aerosmith working, with, what was it, Run DMC?
It was Run DMC with Walk This Way. Walk This Way. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. And I think that actually introduced, classic rock to rap, and it became, well accepted by then.
Yeah. So for me at first, I was like, what? Okay, it's cool now to like that. And then from then, it was a little more exposure. But, in Hawaii, you have a whole nother slice of the pie that's local music that's really cool. And at the time, like guys like Brother Nolan were kind of turning it more into a little bit of a reggae approach. I think the revolution of Bob Marley and his lyrics, that sort of fighting back against the man kind of vibe, carried over into the Hawaiian Renaissance, which was going on at that time and still is. But so it took a while for that to become just to get in my ear in it. And I love it. And I could never rap. I don't have that background, but I love the displacement of the rhymes. And I think that's kind of in some of my stuff. But that Replaced by a DJ song, the best story is that the guy that rapped, his stage name is Illicit. He spells it.
I think I might have heard of it. Yeah, Illicit.
Yeah, ill is it. So ILLISIT.
Illicit, I get it. Okay.
And he is the toughest looking dude. Like, he's got some tattoos on his face, and he's like a really mean looking guy, but he's probably the nicest guy I've ever met. And that song, I tried a guitar solo, it didn't work. So I ran into him. A good buddy of mine who's a drummer on some of the songs is Sean Carroll. He's a first call drummer out here. He plays with guys like John Cruz and played with Anohea. Real great drummer, super good guy. He introduced me to Illicit, and he ended up liking the project. I said, hey, I got this song about, like, I don't know what I said, but something like the death of rock and roll and this kind of movement. And he said, yeah, I like the idea. And he took it and he came up with this rap that made me realize he thought I was talking, I guess the way he related it was, yeah, I don't like, I used to cut and scratch, and I used to work with vinyl. And
I remember that.
Yeah, he used to lift the needle and drop it and, the real stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And now guys are just kind of pressing buttons according to the rap.
Or like computers and the discs and everything like that. And I see it in concerts. It's like, they have like just a bunch of computers. And I think to myself, it's like, why do I need to pay $100 a ticket to watch somebody on a computer when you can pay that amount of money or less, like actual instruments? So, I mean, I'm probably dating myself, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So that was his take on it. And I just loved it. So And then at the end, there was a guy named Greg Lau that I asked to help with, like, can you kind of help me out with a cool, like, what would be a cool background thing like the Beatles would do or something like that? Because he's got the ear, some guys just have that harmony ear. And then my good buddy Mike Ells executed that. And so at the end, you've got some shalalas, kind of a hark back to the 50s rock and roll kind of thing. So that song's kind of a journey and a lament, kind of a selfish lament about, some of my favorite music not being in the top 40 or top 100 anymore, kind of thing.
And of course, those are amazing songs that you mentioned too. And where can we find your self-titled release, Low Level Clouds? Where can we find Heart-Shaped Cliffs and more? Where can we find all your music at, Chris?
Okay. So everything is dropping on all music major outlets on November 19th. So if you want to kind of tune in a little bit early, there's a site on YouTube. Everything is Low Level Clouds. So lowlevelclouds.com, Facebook /lowlevelclouds, Instagram, Twitter, even LinkedIn. But I got to tell you, man, I've been a Luddite with that stuff. And so it's very fledgling right now. So there aren't a lot of likes. There aren't a lot of follows. But I'd rather have a few people that are kind of into it and like it than, numbers for numbers' sake. So if you can just remember Low Level Clouds, and Mike, if you can push the show back to come out closer to November 19th, people will be able to find it anywhere on all music major outlets.
We certainly would do so. And what's coming up for Chris Coates and Low Level Clouds, we'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the mikewagnershow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-ring author Mia Molson-Zia Missing, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Also brought to you by Picture This Photo Books. Remembering is the key ingredient. Call Karen Shaw at 646-798-0809 or visit picturethisphotobooks.com. We'll be back with Christopher Coates of Low Level Clouds after this timeout.
This edition of the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Picture This Photo Books, where remembering is the key ingredient. How beautiful your mother looked at her wedding, and even more so at yours. And who doesn't miss Grandma's meatballs? The holidays are coming. What better time to give a gift of remembrance that makes you laugh and cry all at the same time? Whatever gift of Grandma's recipes, or just because, those smiles and tears will melt your heart. Call Karen Shaw at 646-798-0809 or visit picturethisphotobooks.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 10% off your first order. Picture This Photo Books, bringing your memories back to life. They're whimsical, casual, or formal, and always uniquely you.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by SonicWeb Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey, this is Ray Powers. And if there's one thing you can count on in these unpredictable times, it's that you're in good hands getting some great radio, courtesy of The Mike Wagner Show.
We're back with the amazing singer-songwriter from Hawaii, Christopher Coates of Low Level Clouds here on the Mike Wagner Show. Chris, you've been an amazing journey, and tell me about all your music, your background, and everything else, and looking forward to having you again soon. And what else can we expect from you guys in 2021 and beyond?
Well, there's a couple songs in the can that didn't make the album, Again, harking back to my old guy attitude, I kind of wanted I wanted to put out an album as opposed to a bunch of singles. So I kind of arranged things, even kind of like a classical suite, where different pieces like a prelude, a Bourrier, an Allemande, these kind of things were arranged by key. And so I kind of arranged the album, which is what they call the sequencing, right? So that you could put it on and kind of listen to the whole thing, and it would kind of have some flow. There were a couple tracks that didn't really fit that, so I'm going to kind of put those out as digital, whatever. I don't know what it's called these days. You just release them. You got to feed the beast, right, Mike? So
right, exactly. Yeah, MP3s, you stream and everything, and then I'm sure your fans will tell you as well. So I'm sure they'll probably communicate by email or whatever to you. So
yeah. What's funny is I don't know if you caught Stephen Colbert the other night, but he and John Baptiste were kind of talking about, oh, you got to release the music video, and then you got to put a teaser out for the video, and then you got to put a trailer out for the teaser for the video. And it really kind of hit me hard because I've been kind of dealing with learning with that, learning how to do all that stuff recently. But what was funny is I realized how much myself we've all tied music to videos. Mm-hmm. And music is really its own art form. And in fact, a video could very much, even a good video could sway your brain into thinking of other imagery during the song. So it's again, it's my old guy lament for the way things used to be. Because when I think of a great song like, let's go to Stairway to Heaven, who we all love and hate it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think of the video. I think of the song. I think of some of the imagery I actually thought of as a kid when I first heard it. So there's some tunes that I'm going to put out there, and then I've got some written that I'm excited to record, but I felt like I couldn't record more until this first batch was kind of out there. This whole promotion thing, this show, which again is great, is it's all new to me, and it's not easy because I'm more of an introvert, but you really got to kind of, get out there and toot your horn. Mm-hmm. So I think in the future there'll be more of the same, but I don't know if I'll ever be doing more promotion like I'm doing right now. It's just kind of try to get it established, and then if people like it, they know where to go. If not, then that's their coolie on it.
And of course, in terms of videos, you can thank MTV for that. So
yeah. Which I enjoy. I mean, don't get me wrong. It really has become its own art form. But I think the little banter between Colbert and Baptiste the other night kind of really made me have some introspection about how we tie music to videos and how even that's questionable. I mean, it's beyond the question of making a trailer, making all these little setups, but the beast that has to be fed all the time, it's like, that's okay. Go eat something else. I want to pace myself, and I want to kind of keep. I don't want to put stuff out there just for the sake of meeting some kind of mental model I need to feed social media. Mm-hmm. And right now with social media and, all this stuff with Zuckerberg and the algorithms and what they're really like, it just, I don't know. I'm sure you know what I mean, what I'm trying to say. It's a real love-hate thing. I don't want to slam it too much.
Right, exactly. And of course, back in the day, let them eat cake. And in your case, let them eat pineapples. That's all I can tell you. So enjoy the fun here. It's all like candy and everything. It's all good. We're here with Christopher Coats, the Low Level Clouds here on the Mike Wagner Show. And who do you consider your biggest influence in your career?
With music, you mean? Or
anything in general?
Well, some of my teachers, beginning with, I would say, Mike Overly, Alan Trubit, of course, Byron Yasui, huge influence. These are teachers up at University of Hawaii. Armand Russell. These are people that somehow dealt with me as in a music program, a lot of people come in like pianists. They're very well versed. There's a very heavy, very well defined pedagogy for a lot of instruments. There is for guitar, but it kind of is watered down by a lot of guys that don't know how to read music, guys that, they're rockers, they're great players, but as far as education goes, it doesn't really follow a years long curriculum that is very well laid out. So a lot of the guitar players in music programs come in as players that learn by tablature, which is a different form of transmission than Western notation. Mm-hmm. And these guys just had so much patience with me that, I have to put them at the top. For this particular project, there were a lot of people that helped me out. Amanda Adrian was a singer on Heartshapedcliffs. She was actually a former student of mine who was she went to the school I taught at and was in some of my classes, and just real outstanding vocalist. Mm-hmm. Star Kalahiki came over for a tune. She's a really big name out here. We already talked about Illicit, but the band itself, Peter Park and Zach Parley, the Clouds, the original Clouds, they were the drummer, and Zach played bass on some, but his counterpoint, his ability to do some really cool counterpoint background harmony really added some magic to it.
Wow.
Gerardo Vilez was a real interesting character. I was watching one of your shows, Mike, about Ruby, the guy that did the...
the Rolling Stones logo. Yeah, Ruby Major. He's a great guy.
Yeah, and he lives in Maui. And that's one of the coolest things about Hawaii is it's a small fish pond. So you get to rub elbows with people. So Gerardo Vilez played with Jimi Hendrix's Band of Gypsies. And he came out here, and a really cool friend of mine named Scott McCafferty, who's a kind of a local impresario and has really taught me how to keep music fun. He's a jam buddy. Him and these two guys, James Lewis, and Paul, come to the jams, and they brought in Gerardo one day, and he was talking about, we all asked him stories. Of course, we're all feeling good at the time, and he's talking about Jimi Hendrix, and we're standing there with our beer, like, you guys talking about Jimi Hendrix, and so he took an interest in the album, and he's the guy that said, "Wow, man, no one's really doing this kind of psychedelic, kind of early rock stuff anymore." And he came in and he just added some really cool parts. They're not super prominent, but if you take them out of the mix, it's not the same song. Mm-hmm. And then Paul also invited a guy over. He didn't come, but he put me in touch with a guy named Bob Malone, who played keyboards and just killed it. And Bob really brought a lot to the record because he's kind of an orchestration guy. He plays in John Fogerty's band. And right after the last song he recorded with me, he played on Ringo Starr's last album.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Super top tier musicians. There's other people. Let me see. I made a list. I don't know anybody else out. Brian Southard is a good buddy of mine who comes over and plays and keeps music fun also. There's two guys from LA, a guy named Brian Murphy, who's kind of an almost famous guy. You've probably heard his music, but you may not know the name.
Right. I know how it goes. Mm-hmm.
Brian Murphy, he's really connected in the LA scene, and he's in a ton of bands. Pistol for Ringo is one. Great songwriter. He taught me how to be a little more intuitive and less academic when it comes to music and kind of feeling things. His buddy Greg Coates played bass on a couple tracks, and he just killed it. Let's see. I don't mean to stretch your ear too much.
It's okay. That's good.
Josh Tollefson, I should give him a shout out. He did the artwork. Dimitri Marmash owns a recording studio out here named, I can't think of the name of his studio, but he's over in Kailua on the other side of the island and does a great job in recording. And Alex Stein, I think Alex got in touch with you. Alex Steininger is with In Music We Trust.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, he's connected with Dylan McGarrett from Badman Recording Company. He's been instrumental in helping me get from the living room to the Mike Wagner show. And of course, my family, my wife especially, those are some of the influences, and those will be the influences going forward for what's next.
And you certainly have one big happy family with all the kahunas in the pond. That is so amazing. And we're here with Christopher Coats from Low Level Clouds on the Mike Wagner Show. Chris, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date, keep in touch, and look forward to having you again soon. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact you, where can people purchase or check out your music?
Okay, if you can remember Low Level Clouds, you'll find that on, the major, let's call it the major social media programs or apps. So that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and I think that's all I could afford to do. There is a website called lowlevelclouds.com. Again, nothing's really going to drop on the music outlets until November 19th. So we're all kind of trying to build that up. So I'm still making the trailer for the teaser for the video and trying to get all that out there. And now, if anyone can help out and check that out and remember, I'd really appreciate it. But, it's all about finding the good music you like. And that's the main thing that matters, is just to keep rock alive.
And that's the most important thing. Once again, Chris, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely terrific. Learned a lot from you. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Looking forward to have you on. And don't forget to keep in touch. We wish you all the best. And you've got a great future ahead of you.
Aloha, Mike. Thanks so much. It's so important what you do. There's 40,000 new songs every day coming out, and you help cut to the chase.
Say to me, we will always be together. I always used to fire back. We are in bold, nasty weather. It's out of control, and I think it's time. She isn't here. She is always in the details. Somehow she thinks I never cared, and we were certain to fail her. It's out of control, and I think it's time we go. There through the heart-shaped cliffs, I'm only you to run and jump it with. There through the highs and lows we'll hide. Say to me, we'll always be together. Somehow she thinks I never can, and we were certain to fail her. It's out of control, and I think it's time we go. There through the heart-shaped
digitized mixes. This is live music nowadays in the eyes of masses. Everything but nothing, this is simplified. They used to spin vinyl, cut and scratch. Now they get paid to press play, jump and clap. What's up with that? Like auditory mustard gas, spinning gibberish and listeners eat up that crap.
Waiting for the sunbeams to shine, a light in my eyes. 'Cause I've been up for so long now, I can't come down for the count. Sorry for the shape you're in. You know I never wanna see it again. Sorry for the shape you're in. I'm 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 sorry for the shape you're placed by the DJ. I'm sorry for the shape you're I'm sorry for the shape you're
Picture this photo books, where remembering is the key ingredient. Preserving memories, keeping the memories of your loved ones alive as they reach in and touch your heart. How beautiful your mother looked at her wedding, and even more so at yours. The holidays are coming. What better time to give a gift of remembrance that makes you laugh and cry all at the same time? Whether it's a gift of past holidays, grandma's recipes, long ago moments, or just because, those smiles and tears will melt your heart. Call Karen Shaw at 646-798-0809. Once again, that's 646-798-0809. Or visit picturethisphotoBooks.com.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.